All right, so now we got to roll over here to the NFC Championship game. And here's the deal, man. Listen, we done talked about these two teams quite a few times on here. The 49ers and they franchise, the legacy. And then we done talked about the Rams, especially after they acquired um, Matthew Stafford and shipped on Jared Goff on out of here. But here's the thing: the one thing I like to focus on when I look at these two teams, and I didn't said this before, and now this game has made it evident, is the chess match between the two head coaches. Here's the thing: these two head coaches have been making moves against each other to win the division. I'm talking Sean McVay of the Rams and Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers. They've been making these chess moves just to win the division. Now the biggest chess move can actually win the conference. And here's the thing, folks. Within the last 4 years, both of these teams has been representatives of the NFC when it comes to the Super Bowl. Now they both came up on the short end of the stick, but they have been there, in tow with the head coaches that they have, and running the teams now. And well, for the 49ers, when they got there, Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. Now for the Rams, it was Jared Goff. But mainly, we give a lot of credit to Ty Gurley and that MVP season that he was having. So, Jay, the third meeting of the season, right? And this one for all the marbles. So it's quite simple. Who gets it done? Who makes the biggest adjustment to get it done, and why? Why would that team make that adjustment to get it done?
This I'm less sure of this one than I am Chiefs Bengals. I think the Chiefs, that's pretty clear cut.
Right.
I don't think it's beyond the pale at all for San Francisco to pull this one off, but I do think they have way less margin for error. I think there's only so many things they can do to win the game. I think the Rams have way more margin of error because I think just quite simply they got way more stars, they got way more talent. I think if you just look at this matchup on paper and you look at all the big names, the Rams have a decided advantage there. So I think that does put a lot of pressure on these guys. And what you're seeing, like the reports of like what the people that's selling tickets, they like, hey, we only selling tickets to people
Right.
that live in the LA area code. That's
Right.
just dirty. I don't know why we're allowing that. It ain't the 49ers fault that they live however many miles down the road, and the fans in LA for whatever reason can't get behind a football team. I don't know what that
It's
is. That's just
it's
ridiculous.
too. They said it's too much to do in LA, so that's why they won't be there. But shouts out to the 49ers. I like it.
But anyway, I just think so. I think there is probably more pressure on the Rams because I do think they're just the more talented team. I think they have the better quarterback. I think he has more weapons. I think when you look at the defense and you look at the big names, the Rams have Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, and Aaron Donald. The 49ers, they obviously have some name. They obviously have some big names. Probably
Fred
the
Warner,
most the most notable Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, and I'd probably throw Eric Armstead in there.
Armstead.
But the Jimmy Ward as well. They got a lot of great players. But I think to me, I think it is some of the offensive thing. I think the big thing is like, I mean, I know the 49ers get by. They get by with Jimmy Garoppolo. The Rams, when you look at what they've done, I know the Rams, they had the collapse that would have been like last week if they'd have blown that game. But Matthew Stafford was great at the start. He was just picking apart that Buccaneer defense, and it's only because the Rams could not stay out of their own way that game was, ended up being close because they just couldn't hang on the ball to the tune of 4 fumbles, including the center. I don't even know what he was doing at one point, snapping the ball for about a 30-yard loss right after Von Miller had taken the ball away and he was out there dancing. So
Right.
to me, I think now you do look at what these teams. Listen, you have another recent matchup to look at. The week 18, you had these two teams playing, and the Rams were in complete control of that game as well. And then all of a sudden, fourth quarter comes around and everything falls apart. Garoppolo heats up. The 49 defensive line really takes charge. And I think I think that's the matchup to watch. The 49 defensive line, I think their best chance to win is those guys have to dominate, get pressure with 4, which they do very well. And I think on the flip side, now for me, and you probably agree with this as well, I didn't expect the Rams to be able to run the ball against the Bucs because most teams
Right.
that they just can't do that. But
Right.
what I was pleased with was they did stick with it. I know it was ugly in the end. Cam Akers, 24 carries, 48 yards, 2 lost fumbles. It was not pretty. But at least Sean McVay stuck with it. Even if I think you do need to be more successful against San Francisco. But at the same time, as long as you stick with it and you make the defense account for the run, then your play action comes into play. You know, you're going to have some open shots available down the field. Cooper Kupp playing outstanding. I thought Odell, 6 for 69. It's not great, but I thought he played a really good game last week. Higbee out there making some really key plays. I think that's the difference offensively. That's where the Rams have a big edge because Garoppolo is Deebo Samuel and George Kittle pretty much. You see Ayuk every now and again. You see Juwan Jennings every now and again, but for the most part, it's Deebo and Kittle. And I think if the 49ers, if they can't run the ball, then I don't think they stand much of a chance. I don't think you can just drop back with Garoppolo over and over and then you're at the mercy of those pass rushers, Aaron Donald among them, Aaron Donald and Von Miller first, second, foremost, and all that. It's just going to be too much to ask. The coaching matchup is fantastic. These are two of the, you probably have to say, best coaches in the game right now. Both of them looking for their second Super Bowl appearance in the past, 3 to 4 years. You have that going on. I do think, though, this is a big game for Sean McVay because I think he's got more cards to play with. And if Kyle Shanahan is able to pull this, especially on the road and all that, even though I don't know how much of a home field advantage it is, but I think that's if Kyle Shanahan is able to really to pull this one, then you talk about who has the leg up among these great young head coaches. I'll tell you, if Kyle Shanahan, I'm not shocked that. I mean, I am shocked that the Packers fell down last week, but that's Matt LaFleur, and I am a Matt LaFleur skeptic. But if he gets by McVay, I mean, these are the 3 Wonder Boys who came out of Washington. I still can't understand how Washington had all 3 of these dudes, and they just none of them coaching the team. Just Jay Gruden. I'll tell you. Look, I'm going Rams in this one. I think it will be close. I think, but I think in the end, the Rams got too many cards to play with, and they'll wind up prevailing by a touchdown. I think they got too much.
All right, so let me start with this point, and I definitely agree with you on this. Man, let me tell you something. If Kyle Shanahan go out here and beat McVay, because here's the thing, right? McVay is a guy. It's always hard to beat a guy that's in your division because they see you so much, right? So they get the scheme. Without a doubt, they get the scheme against you at least twice a year because they know you play them at home, they play you at home. All right, cool. Then you play them for a third time with more chips on the table. I think that's more value. In my opinion, I think that's more value. And they could go for either one of these guys. Now, here's the deal. To your point. Yeah, we can say that about Matt LaFleur. We ain't sold on him. But the 49ers still had to go in that condition and win that game. So, and listen, Matt LaFleur ain't on the field. 10 points ain't gonna get the job done. 10 points when your quarterback is probably the MVP of this year, and you got a top 5 receiver, and your offensive line been pretty good. I ain't gonna beat up on. I'm gonna leave Green Bay alone. Either way, you come from San Francisco, Silicon Valley, all that good stuff. Head on over to Green Bay, probably the top home field advantage you can get in the playoffs at this time, and you make it happen. Snow flurries and all. There's something to be said about that. Now, moving on to the teams themselves. I'm going to tell you something, man. I watched the Rams last week, and specifically the second half of that game. Tampa Bay started figuring out some things as far as the defense went against Matt Stafford. and against that run game. Now, like you said, listen, this is Tampa Bay. We know what it is when it comes to running the ball against them. They stout Vita Vea and company. They stout up that middle. And I'm not saying San Francisco is that stout. They're gonna run the ball on San Francisco, but I'm telling you this: they sure got some edge rushers that gonna apply real pressure to that Rams offensive line. That they do have. Between Armstead and Bosa, they got some edge rushers. Oh yeah, and they got a middle linebacker that's gonna come and blow some. If Cam Akers come out here with that whole I can't hold on to the ball crap he pulled last week, like, oh hey, I just came back off injury reserve. Come on guys, cut me some slack. He pulled that crap that he pulled last week. I think the Rams will have a longer day than we expect because listen, the 49ers corners and safeties aren't like they're good. Like they're not great by no means, but they're good, right? So it is something to be said. Now the problem is you kind of need some great cornerbacks when you're dealing with Cooper Kupp and dealing with a motivated Odell Beckham, and then you got Higbee sliding down the middle. Oh, and don't forget about Van Jefferson. You know what I'm saying? When you in those, that red zone or you that third down and such, he tends to show up. So I get all that. I think the 49ers pass rush is undersold here. And I think this is the type of game where we get to see it a little bit. No Andrew Whitworth. He game time decision, so we're not quite sure if he plays.
He's playing.
He's playing, okay.
He is playing.
I don't know, man. Even with him in there, depending on how that injury really was,
yep.
I mean, you let Armstead or you let Bosa just go one-on-one and let him figure it out, and let's see if the old man can still do what he's supposed to be doing out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you're not going to stop the run, but I think their best path to success is to make Matthew Stafford have to use them legs. He use them when it's on his terms, 3rd and 1 quarterback sneak. Oh, the middle of the field is wide open. Let me give me a few yards. Yeah, he used it for that. But now, can you force him to actually run the ball? Because he tap dancing in the pocket. Oh man, it's hot in here. Oh. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to get him off his mark. As much as I like Matthew Stafford, and you know this as well as I did, the moment they signed Matthew Stafford, I said, hey, NFC Championship game. Go on, pistol them in there. They in there like swimwear, right? So I seen them in this moment. I would also say this, though. Matthew Stafford has some flaws that's on tape. You get him to start moving, he start giving the ball to the other team. That's just what it is. He gets turnover prone. I think the 49ers have the pass rushers to get him uncomfortable. I think that's something to look at. Now, when I flip the field, right, and I talk about the Rams defense against the 49ers offense. Yeah, hey, I don't know what the percentage is on Deebo Samuel's health, but they're going to need him, man. If they coming in here trying to use Deebo Samuel as a decoy, and he's not like really healthy enough to really get in there and play, that's gonna be a problem, man. And I bet not game time decision. Deebo Samuel's out. It's over with. I'm sorry. I got it. Yeah. I know they got George Kittle and they got I forgot the other wide receiver. It don't even matter right now. And they got Mitchell and those guys in the backfield. Mitchell supposed to have been, pretty hot, and Deebo Samuel is the best running back on the team. Like I'm just keeping it real. Like honestly, hey, the proof is in the pudding. Go look at the tapes. Yo, the Deebo Samuel back there just making all types of highlights out of the backfield, and as a wide receiver, and as a tight end if you want to put him there too. And wherever else you want him at. You want him next to the head coach, you put him there too. He can probably coach it. I don't know. But Deebo Samuel has to be somewhere in between 30 and 35% of the offensive output for this team. I'm just keeping it real. The dude is all over the field for them. So if he don't play, that's going to be a problem. Because the same reason they drafted Trey Lance will stick his head up in this game if they don't have Deebo out there. Listen, because Jimmy Garoppolo, good game manager, can get, he can make a couple of plays, and I get it. But this dude ain't no game changer, man. He ain't no game changer at all. And needless to say, when you got Von Miller over there chewing at your shoestrings, you got Aaron Donald pushing that center back in your chest. You got Leonard Floyd over here, I'm trying to get paid. Like, needless to say, that he's going to be under some distress back there. I don't know how good these running backs is in pass pro, but we're going to find out. Because he's going to be under some distress back there. And from everything we've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't been that guy that throwed you out of a game. Throwed you into a game. He hasn't won a game where he just, like what we seen last week with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Jimmy Garoppolo ain't that dude. He ain't that dude. So with that said, I'm looking at this. The matchups for me, right, is basically the trenches as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna take the Rams. I think the Rams win this 27-24. And listen, and hey Jimmy, thanks for a good season. You'll be on the free agency next year. Hopefully you'd have made you some money this year with this postseason run, because it's probably gonna be it for you if you lose this game. Because I think next year will be the Trey Lance party in San Francisco.